the spine, lifting up out of the pelvis. And if you put the tongue, your tongue at the base, at the top of your teeth along the roof of your mouth, and you run your tongue back to where you find the softer, more squishy palate, just in front of that, feel like a hot air balloon is lifting you skyward. And from your rooting and grounding sit bones, let the spring of your spine stretch. And feel through your spine, from the base at the sacrum up along the spine, for any places that might need more space, that might feel compressed or want to open. And see if that hot air balloon lifting you can get into these spaces. And tune into the breath. Shoulder blades on your back body. Let's open across the collarbones and breathe wide into the rib cage. And then let's invite the breath deeper down into the bowl of the pelvis. And feel for the body pulsing open on the inhale and relaxing and releasing on the exhale. Feeling how the breath ripples through the tissue of the body. And inviting the breath deep into the pelvis. Let's feel for expansion in the low back and in the side waists. And invite the breath up to the lowest circle of ribs. And as we feel into the expansion at this low circle of ribs, can you visualize a small stone being dropped into a pond and the ripples that ripple out from the stone? Can the breath ripple out into the whole circle of your ribs? Can you invite the breath low into the abdomen, into the waistline, into the back? Hot air balloon still lifting you skyward. The whole circumference of the torso opening with the breath. When you exhale, can you allow the shoulders to relax away from the lift of the hot air balloon? So that as we bring the breath up to the heart center, the whole circumference of this lower rib cage expands. And now let's engage our Ujjayi breath, inhaling the sound and vibration of awe through the nostrils. And exhaling the sound and vibration of ha through the nostrils. Feeling for the vibrations low in the throat. And the breath becomes smooth, flowing in and flowing out, like the rhythm of ocean waves washing into shore and washing away again. And can you picture yourself sitting at the seaside with the waves washing in and the waves washing out? Can these waves wash right into the heart center? And as they wash out, can they clean out the heart center, washing away any debris, any stagnation? listening for the smooth wash of the breath. Inviting this smooth sound to expand us and relax us. Hot air balloon still lifting us. Let's inhale to the tops of the shoulder blades and collarbones. But focus on the breath slowly filling you from the pelvic floor, the whole circumference of your torso. And then as we exhale, can we soften over the lift of the spine so that we're soft and pliable for the next inhale. Inhaling pranic energy and life force. Exhaling stagnation. Now, can you visualize the beautiful earth and sky? And inhale, visions from the earth and sky. Beautiful places you've been. Plants and animals that you've known. Starry skies. Sunrises. And we breathe deeply into our connection with this planet. Our connections with each other around the world. I'm going to share an excerpt from Dana Fald's poem, Yoga. In the flow of breath and motion, yoga coaxes us from the confines of the known across the silent threshold into vastness. Yoga is the union of prayer and movement, guided from the inside. It is healing and the joy of saying yes to life. Breathe, relax, and feel the body receive its own truth. The seed of freedom flowers within each of us whenever we are open to what is real. Let's inhale our hands to our hearts. May this practice help us to be awake today, to learn from our bodies and our breath, so that we can settle into that vast interconnectedness. Namaste. Okay, let's come to standing. And let's let our heels settle beneath our sit bones. And looking down at our feet, unless we know otherwise, let's become parallel at the second metatarsal between the second toe and the center of the ankle. And then let's lift our toes and feel into the four corners of our feet. Big toe ball mound, inner heel, pinky toe ball mound, outer heel, and feel into the arches. Not only the inner arches of our feet, but also the arch from pinky toe to outer heel, and the arch from big toe ball mound to pinky toe ball mound. And let's let these arches be cushions for our feet. as we release the toes and stand. And feeling into the feet, let's inhale and lift the arms skyward, palm facing palm, and reach the thumbs skyward, breathing back into the low circle of ribs. Can we lift this low circle of ribs away from the pelvis as we ground from pelvis into the roots of the feet? And can we come back to this 3-dimensional Ujjayi breath, inviting the breath deep into the belly to fill the pelvis and open the whole circle of the lowest ribs, so that we can lift this low circle of ribs away from the pelvis and stretch the lumbar spine. And then let's reach the left hand skyward as we root the left foot. And then we'll switch, reaching right, rooting right, back and forth, inhaling the stretch up and exhaling the release, and then inhaling the neck stretch. Moving very slow, body following breath. We stretch our myofascial network open, inviting sky and space into the body, even as we're rooted to earth. And then let's exhale and let the hands release slowly down to our sides. And inhale, lift the left shoulder, and exhale, circling it back, relaxing it down. Let's inhale and lift the right and relax. And feel into the movement of the humerus bone in the shoulder socket. And see if you can feel this idea of relaxing the arm down. Hands relaxed, forearms relaxed. Imagine that they're heavy, like the hands themselves are weighted sandbags. And as they release down, you traction the humerus bone a little out of the shoulder girdle, creating space in the shoulder. And then let's feel for the movement of the shoulder blade on the rib cage. Is there any tightness in the muscles connecting the shoulder blade? And if there is, can we inhale into the tightness and exhale for its release? And then let's inhale the arms out to the sides and float the right palm up and the left thumb under and around, looking towards the left palm. We're externally rotating the left arm, internally rotating the back arm, and then we switch. Can we stay consciously in this landscape of the upper body, feeling into the movement of the humerus bone and the shoulder blade, and perhaps even the back ribs away from the spine? Can we again move slow with the breath, floating one direction and then the other, and inviting space into the shoulder girdle? Inhaling one direction and exhaling the other. Can you stay with your Ujjayi breath? Stay consciously in the upper body, waking up, knowing the body well as a friend. Let's come back to center and release the arms and roll both shoulders up, releasing them down the back. Fluid breath and fluid movement. And then today, I'm going to invite you either to come to a wall and place your hand on the wall, and the hand can turn out a little bit like a clock turning clockwise, and then draw the body around, opening this front chest. Or if you don't have access to a wall, you could come to a strap. So I'm going to give you the choice. Come to the strap and inhale and lift the strap up and rest it back. Fluid breath. For some of us, the strap would lift up and then it would come overhead and down. But for some, coming down may not feel good in the shoulder girdle. So just come to your point where then it's best to release back down. Fluid breath, and you can begin with the front side, and then we can lift from the back. If you're at the wall, folding open, when you've come open, really try to draw the head of the arm bone still back. Really breathe into this front chest, neck connection, whatever feels tight for you. And if it feels like it's too much, walk back out of it a little bit. Breathe space into the joint. Draw your torso a little away from the hand and see if you can find some opening and release. And then let's exhale if you're on the wall and turn and take the other side. Hand turned out. Bring your other hand across the ribs so that you can stabilize. And turn out and open, stretching the hand into the wall and perhaps drawing the torso a little away from the wall. Fluid breath, beautiful. Breathing into the full circumference. And if you're using a strap, just staying with the breath, inhaling up and exhaling down. Fluid breath and fluid movement. If you're at the wall, deep breath and micro movements to find the opening. And then let's turn back towards the wall. If you're at the wall, release with the strap, and everybody pick up the strap and reach your right hand skyward as you root the four corners of both feet into the floor. We reach the strap skyward, grounding and rooting. And you still feel into the spongy arches of the feet and lift them up, lifting up the pelvic floor, lengthening the spine, reaching up into the right arm. Let's let the right hand come down between the shoulder blades. And then float the left arm up and draw the humerus bone back into the back plane of the body. So I mean like this, you're drawing the arm bone back. That'll help seat the humerus bone back for when you bring the hand up and around. And then we pause here with the breath, feeling into our own body and making sure we haven't gone too far. I grew up doing gymnastics, and sometimes I still to this day can push myself a little too far, and I have to let it out a little. Breathe into the whole circle of the ribs. Grounding the feet, can you reach the one elbow skyward? And then play a little with your arms. What happens if you take the arms out to the side, the elbows out to the side a little, and then back up? How does that motion feel in your shoulders? If you feel open enough, can you rest the head back? Can you breathe into the low back ribs? And perhaps even grounding the feet, lift the right elbow and side bend just slightly. And then let's exhale and release this side and lift the strap with the left arm, reaching skyward, really grounding both feet. Can you breathe space between the ribs? Space between the lowest ribs and the pelvis. And then exhale, left hand between the shoulder blades. The right arm floats up parallel to the earth and then draws back, humerus bone into the back plane. And then we bring the arm around. And then we feel into our postural alignment, feet rooting, pelvic floor gently lifting, long spine. You could even have the hot air balloon lift you here so that your shoulders dangle away from the lift and your pelvis. And then feel into the shoulders. What happens if you open them a little? Is that better in your body? Is that tighter? Let yourself play with the movement to awaken and get to know ourselves better in the practice. And then grounding the feet, let's reach the left elbow skyward in maybe a slight side bend, inviting space into the left side body. And then let's inhale back up and release. Okay, let's step the feet wide. And let's lift the arms skyward and open into goalpost position and find the shoulder blades on your back. And then exhale, pinky fingers towards one another. Feel the shoulder blades roll around the rib cage. And then come back to your goalpost, turn the palms out and lift the collarbones and the heart center, tailbone grounding. And take a few breaths here, stretching elbow away from elbow. Still breathing into the low back ribs. So we're not flaring the ribs forward. Instead, we're just opening, broadening across the chest. And then we exhale, pinky fingers towards one another. It's a bit of a cat curl of the spine. And then we inhale, palms out, lifted collarbones, lifted heart. And we exhale. And we inhale. Can you stay residing in the upper body, getting to know the movement of the arms so that we can better respond to the needs of this upper body? Let's open into the goalpost and then press the arms skyward, palms facing forward, and imagine someone's lifting you for a moment by the wrists. Let the side bodies lengthen into the grounding pelvis and feet. And then again, exhale, opening broad. Make conscious contact with the left shoulder blade, and then slowly let it come around towards the right hip pocket. Feel the energy as you twist from left shoulder blade to right hip pocket. And then exhale back and find the right shoulder blade. And as you begin to twist, connect it to the grounding left hip pocket. And then back around, and one more time, left shoulder blade twists around towards the right hip pocket. And then we come back, and right shoulder blade reaches around towards the left hip pocket. And let's come back to center and release the arms and roll the shoulders. And let's turn the left foot out and lift the right heel and take it slightly back. Bending into the front knee over the second metatarsal, Virabhadrasana 2. Let's inhale and float palms up. As the wrists lift, can you let the head of the arm bone, the humerus bone, release down? And bring the hands together and down through the center line at the heart. We inhale, wrists lift, humerus bone releases down into the body. And then exhale, hands through the midline. We inhale, wrists rise, the head of the arm bone releasing. Can you relax in the head of the arm bone next to the torso as the wrists lift? Let it move. Fluid breath, residing in the shoulder joints with your consciousness. And then let's lift the arms straight up like a geyser. Turn the palms out and let them float down to rest on water. Float the palms up, the eyes of the elbows up. Eyes of the elbows stay up, palms turn down. And rest head back, shoulders back. And then turn gently to look out over the left fingertips. Can your gaze soften? Can we settle our feet deep into the earth? And can we breathe sky in to the upper body? And then slowly, let's take the back fingertips back, turn the front palm up, breathe space between the vertebrae, and come into a dancing warrior. Even here, can your shoulders relax and broaden? Today, can we keep awareness even in the standing poses of the upper body? And then let's exhale back up. Bring the back hand to the hip and reach the front arm forward, lengthening the side body, and then bringing forearm to femur bone. Draw the right shoulder blade onto the back and lengthen the right arm from the outer edge of the right foot through the fingertips. Can you breathe your side body long and allow it to open? Feet grounding and rooting you. Pelvis grounding through the legs. Can you lengthen the spine and invite sky between the vertebrae, lifting the low ribs away from the pelvis? And then float back up with that space in the spine. And let's straighten the front leg and turn in from the femur bone, turning the right foot out. Heel to heel alignment. We lift the left heel and take it back and open. Now let's open it into a star pose. And let's turn the palms up, lifting them a little higher than the shoulders, releasing the head of the arm bone down, and then float the arms back down. Can you reach from fingertip to fingertip? And does that initiate any stretch through the arms, the neck, the shoulders? And then let's bend the second metatarsal. Turn our palms down. Rest the head and hyoid bone back. Feel into your shoulder girdle and draw the arm bones in, like almost like to the point of gripping. Really feel the humerus bones come in almost too strongly. Sorry about that. Technical difficulties. All right. Okay. Coming back into your Viratu. Can you hear me okay? Thumbs up if you can hear me okay. Yeah, okay, great, thank you. Let's turn palms up and then release, palms down. Release shoulders away from ears and the lift of the hot air balloon. And take the back fingertips back, turning the front palm up. Open the spine into the dancing warrior. And can you rest the shoulder girdle away from the long and spacious spine, away from the ears? And notice, is your jaw clenching? Can the jaw release it all? And then exhale back up to Viratu, back hand to the hip, Front arm reaching long, and then come down into Parsvakonasana prep. Top shoulder blade on the back. And then we stretch long, breathing space into the lumbar spine by drawing the low ribs away from the pelvis. And then lengthening all the way up through the top of the head. Can you feel a connection from the outer edge of the back foot all the way through the fingertips? Fluid breath, pulsing the body open, pulsing the body awake. Grounding through the feet, let's float ourselves back up into Viratu. Straighten the front leg, turn in from the femur bone, and step together, pausing in mountain pose. Head resting back, shoulders resting back. Can we pause here in a standing Shavasana? Feeling into the body. Let's shake the hands for a moment and let tension go out of the fingers and the palms and the wrists. Really try to feel into each finger, relaxing into the shake. And let's shake all the way up to the elbow, forearm relaxing. And then all the way up to the shoulders, letting the arms kind of bounce a little in the joint. We can bounce the knees. And let's let the shaking and bouncing move through the body to release hypertonic muscles that are active even when they don't need to be. Asking those muscles to let go so others can come on board. Fluid breath, letting the shoulders really bounce. Hands still shaking. And then let's slowly stop that movement and pause. And feel for energy in the body, any tingling, feeling for temperature, feeling the pulse of the breath, and perhaps the pulse of blood flowing in the hands, the pranayama kosha. And can you soften into the standing Shavasana, letting your head rest back, your shoulders rest on the ground. Let's let the arms externally rotate, palms forward, thumbs out, and let the humerus bone, the head of the arm bone, rest back. Can we come back to that three-dimensional breath, filling from pelvic floor to the tops of the shoulder blades? Fluid, ujjayi breath. Inhaling the ah, and exhaling the ha. Can the hot air balloon lift you? And again, can you feel up along your spine to create space, awareness? There's research that shows now in the body that what we make conscious, we may use and do unconsciously. So can we make space conscious? Invite space and length in the spine. And then let's release. Now let's come to the floor, lying down. If you need a pillow to create length in the back of the neck, then bring one in. And then rest your head into your palms, thumbs at the base of the skull, and draw the base of the skull away from the shoulders. And then rest the head down. And let your arms rest long beside you. The humerus bone resting back, the low ribs resting back. Heels aligned with sit bones in constructive rest. Let's nod the pelvis. Tailbone towards earth and then tailbone towards sky. Arm bones relaxing and resting. Feel how when the pelvis nods, tailbone towards earth, you have more of a lumbar curve, and even feel that stretch all the way up to the moving skull. And then tailbone towards sky. Feel how the lumbar flattens. And the head also nods. So we nod and feel the motion from pelvis to skull, giving ourselves a little craniosacral therapy, inviting energy to move from the nodding pelvis to the nodding skull, shoulders resting broad, arm bones resting, hands relaxed. Let's now pause the nodding in our natural curve and release the jaw, the low jaw away from the upper jaw. And then let the jaw move side to side like a grasshopper chewing. Back and forth, back and forth. Fluid breath. Arm bones relaxed even as the jaw works. And now can you relax the low jaw away from the upper jaw? Relax the eyes into their sockets. Can the face stay relaxed as we float the shin bone up? My wild puppy's running through. And then float the foot lightly back down to the floor. And then let's float up the other side, shin parallel to the floor, and float the foot back down. And can you do this movement with the lower body, with the shoulder girdle relaxed and open, and the head of the arm bone released, and the palms and fingers relaxed, the jaw and the eyes relaxed. And then let's float the one leg up to the what I call tabletop, shin parallel to the ground, and draw the other leg up to join. Now, if this flattens your lower back right into the floor, then put a folded blanket under your sacrum so that you're lifted a little higher. And then let's toe dip, one set of toes towards the floor. They don't need to come down to touch. They can just dip about 2/3 of the way. And as they dip, can you keep the knee at a right angle so that you're just moving from the femur bone in the hip socket, activating your abdominal core and the psoas pathway. Can the shoulders stay broad and open? And can you breathe a grounding energy into the lowest circle of ribs? Fluid breath, waking up, core awareness in the body. Now, arms staying relaxed and down, draw the knees in towards the chest. Take the knees wide and then draw them together more towards the foot of the mat. So you're circling the knees away from each other and back together. And can this movement occur with the shoulders still broad, the head of the arm bone resting back? Fluid movement and fluid breath. And then let's take the circles the other way. Together, down the midline and out. Feeling into the motion of the legs and the impact this motion has on the spine and the shoulders. Can we ground from the low rib ring in a way that doesn't mean like cementing the low rib ring to the floor? It may not even reach the floor, but we have a grounding energy in these low back ribs. And that grounding energy helps anchor us for the movement of the femurs. And then let's come back together and take the left leg out to the left as the right leg stays very still. And exhale the left back to center. And then inhale the right leg out like the page of a book. And exhale it back to center. So the ankle, the knee, the shin, they move out and back in. And it's not about range of motion here, like how far can the leg go? It's about keeping the rest of the body grounded and still for the movement of this one limb. So we create an earthy, grounded energy so that this one limb can move freely from its foundation. Can the shoulders be broad and heavy without being forced back or overactivated in the upper shoulder and neck? So can the energy of release, heaviness, relaxing into our own connection with gravity, can that be what grounds us? Good. Now float your hands in behind your head. One back of hand on the other palm, hands cupping the head. And let's lift the right elbow skyward as we lengthen the right leg out at a 45-degree angle from the floor. And then rest the head back heavily into the hands, but lift from the elbow and lift the shoulder blade off the ground. And then switch. Left elbow lifts, left leg extends, head rests back into the hands. And then switch and switch, really reaching the elbow up like you're going to push on a button above you. And feel how that elbow connects to the arm bone, connects to the shoulder blade, and lifts the rib cage. Can you keep an expansiveness in the spine even here? And then in the front body, feel how the right ribs reach across towards the left hip and the left ribs reach across towards the right hip. We're waking up our obliques to support us in our standing poses. Fluid breath, fluid motion. Waking up these muscles to support us when we come into upper body awareness in triangle pose, in half moon pose. Let's come back to center and let's rest the head back, the arms broad, and float one foot to the floor and then the other. And if you have a pillow in, let's press it out and inhale and lift the pelvis. And exhale, let the pelvis lower down. And inhale, float the pelvis up. And exhale, release. Shoulders broad, hands relaxed. It's like the upper body, the arms are like logs resting deep into the sand. But we work lifting the hips, we're stretching open. So as pathway that we were just working in the earlier abdominal exercises. Now we lift and let's pulse the pubic bone skyward. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then lengthen the tailbone towards the backs of the knees. Pause in your lifted bridge. Can you let the muscles lining the pelvis and along the spine relax into the lift? Let the front body relax onto the strong back body. And now draw your sit bones towards each other and then release them away and draw them towards and release, waking up the glutes. We magnetize them towards each other and release, magnetize and release. One more, magnetize and release. And then softening the muscles of the buttocks, softening the heart. Let's roll down one vertebrae at a time. Rolling through the lumbar spine and coming into our natural lumbar curve. Ujjayi breath, filling the torso. And releasing any stagnant energy from the body. Breathing in life force, letting it fill us and ripple through our tissues, ripple through the waters of our body. And then let's roll over onto one side. And we're going to, if you'd like to, you can roll your mat in for a little more padding under your elbow and forearm. Elbow beneath shoulder, heels aligned with sit bones. We come into kind of a clamshell position. And then we lengthen both side bodies. And we're going to rainbow the arm up and over. Now, for some people, it may be enough just to lift the lower side body towards the spine. But some people may want to ground the legs and lift the pelvis off the floor. And then we exhale back down. So we've strengthened the front abdominal core. And then we strengthened the back of the core with the bridges. And now we're coming into the side core awareness, all of which can help support our standing poses. So we inhale, Ujjayi, ah breath, and we exhale a slow ha. And slowing down the motion lets us really feel into what's working to help us with this motion. What's opening as we rainbow the arm? Can we stay awake in this moment in our bodies? in our breath. And then you can continue with the rainbows or lift into a side bridge. You can stay here in the side bridge or lower your hips, lengthen the bottom leg, bring the top leg foot perpendicular and lift into a side bridge here. Do what's best in your body, whichever is best in your body. You could stay here or stack the feet. Fluid breath. Ujjayi breath. Let's exhale and release that side and roll over to the other side. Remember, you can roll the mat in if that helps you. For me, it feels better on my elbow. And then place your heels in line with your sit bones. Make sure that your elbow is right under the shoulder or a little farther towards the head of your mat. And then we inhale and rainbow up. And exhale, release. Can you stay with the Ujjayi breath being three-dimensional, even in this different position? Can you invite awareness into your shoulder girdle as you work to bring weight onto the arm bones, which helps remind the upper body, yes, I too need to maintain my bone density. This person is willing to weight the upper body, so I need the bone strength. Fluid breath. And then you can either lift into your side plank here, feeling your wings, or you can lower back down, lengthen the bottom leg, bring the top foot perpendicular and lift into your side plank here. Now really feel into the grounding, into the forearm, wherever you are, the lengthening through the shoulder girdle up to the hand lifting skyward. If you'd like, you can stack your feet. Fluid breath. Feel into the strength of the side body, the connection arm into torso, and release. Let's roll over and come on to hands and knees. And looking down at the hands, let's spread the fingers evenly without spreading them too much. And then engage each finger pad so that the middle knuckles lift up, and feel for a lift in the center palm and even a lift in the center wrist, protecting the carpal tunnel. We inhale into cow and then exhale into cat. Can you feel your index finger knuckle plug in? Inhaling and exhale. Staying with your Ujjayi breath, washing into the body and washing back out again. And then feel where along this trajectory of movement, your body says, oh yeah, right there, I need that stretch. And pause in that stretch, play in that stretch, like you're a cat waking up in the morning, stretching your body open, breathing space into the body. That fluid, beautiful motion of a cat. And then let's come back to tabletop. And take your left hand out to the left, just placing your fingertips on the floor. Feel the strength of the right arm and check in that the elbow isn't hyperextending. Can you feel across the shoulder girdle here and lengthen the neck out? And then grounding into the legs, float the left hand skyward. Lift from the head of the humerus bone first so that the wrist doesn't get so high it throws the humerus bone towards the floor. Feel into your fingers and arm integrating into the torso. Ground the rest of the body for this lift of the arm. Again, waking up the obliques. And then exhale, release this hand to the floor. And take the right fingertips out. Feel into the strength of the left arm, each finger pad alive, the elbow not hyperextended, the neck extending out of the shoulder girdle. So the shoulders don't need to scrunch up around the ears. They can release down towards the pelvis. And then float the right arm up. Let the shoulder lift higher than the wrist. And lengthen the spine from tailbone to head, from head to tailbone. Can you breathe into the full circumference of the rib cage? And release. Now, hands grounding. Take your left foot back and press it down into the floor, long like a plank. And see if you can almost lift or lift the knee, shin, and foot off the floor. Fluid breath. Again, shoulders can release down towards the pelvis as the head extends out of the shoulder girdle. You can stay here in this lift or step back into a full plank. Fluid breath, wherever you are, can you work on length in the spine? And then let's come back down this side and inhale your cow and exhale your cat, and pause in the cat today. And take the spine to the left like a jump rope, swinging down under the body and out to the right and up overhead. And let the jump rope circle and feel into the movement of the spine. Again, inviting space, inviting fluid motion. Letting the elements move in the body and help you find grace and ease. Let's pause up in the cat pose. And now take your spine off to the right. Let it flow down through your cow and over to the left. Can you really stay in your consciousness of the hands on the earth, connected to the shoulder girdle, connected to the moving spine, connected to the pelvis and the grounding legs? Where does grounding the body help you create freedom of movement in the spine? Let's come back to cat pose, and then take the sit bone slightly back in your cat pose, hands still grounded, breathing space along the spine, breathing space into the shoulders. And then let's come back up to tabletop, and we'll try the other side. So take the right foot back, ground the right foot, and almost lift the left shin off the floor, or float the left shin just a half an inch off the floor, or step back into your full plank, shoulders releasing away from ears, breathing into the low back ribs. Fluid breath. Let's step down again, knees wide, big toes together, and float back into your child's pose. Extended child's pose, breathing, opening into the shoulders and their connection with the torso. Deep, fluid Ujjayi breath. Can you ground each finger pad in your index finger knuckles and float the pelvis up, turning the toes under, knees bent? Can you take the groins back, sit bones back, index finger knuckle plugged in, each finger pad plugged in, length through the arms? Can the head lift skyward? And then let go, head away from shoulder girdle. Find length. And then slowly, perhaps take the femur bones back and the knees straighten, but don't lose your length in your spine to take your legs straight. This pose wants to be about a long and spacious spine. Feel into the arms grounded, the feet grounded, creating the lift and length. And then let's step the feet towards the hands and the hands towards the feet. Bend the knees and come into standing child's pose. fluid breath. Perhaps the sit bones can lift slightly skyward towards Uttanasana. Perhaps you can let the head traction the spine towards the floor. And then we bend the knees and we lengthen out through the top of the skull and we unhinge and lift the hands skyward again. And reach the left arm skyward as we root the left leg. And then the right arm skyward. And just see, is there more fluidity, more space in the torso than when we started class? And then let's let the arms float open into our T and float the left palm up and the right thumb under and come into this movement of the humerus bone in the shoulder socket again and feel, has there been any change in the body as we've worked? Is there any more space, any more fluidity? And then let's rest the arms down and roll the shoulders up and back. And today, let's float the arms up to the sides and bring the left arm over the right. And you can come back of hand to back of hand or cross at the elbows, back of hand to back of hand, or palm to palm. And then let's gently lift the fingers and take the elbows slightly away from the body, leaning the head and hyoid bone back. Can we release the shoulders towards the pelvis? And then on your next exhale, can you slowly begin to twist to the right, breathing in under the left shoulder blade? Can the knees and pelvis stay forward so that the motion comes up through the spine and into the shoulder girdle? The head can also turn, and we can look out the far corners of the eyes. Fluid breath. Physiologically, looking out through the corners of the eyes can help us open. Can you feel the pulse of breath? And then exhale, eyes relax, head releases, arms release. And let's roll the shoulders. And float the arms out to the sides and bring the right arm over the left, back of hand to back of hand, or crossed elbows. Come into your position. Take the elbows away from the torso, fingertips skyward, and then reintegrate. So we don't want to disintegrate the shoulder joint too much, but we just want to feel into the play of it. And then can the shoulders relax away from the ears? Can the head and hyoid bone rest back? And then slowly begin to twist to the left. Hips and knees staying forward. Let's move up the spine like we're walking up a spiral staircase. The head last to turn, looking out the far corners of the eyes. Can you feel into the breath and invite it to help you create space and release stiffness so that we in our daily lives can move from a more grounded and easeful place? And then let's exhale back and release and roll the shoulders again. Okay, so today I'm going to have us bring in a chair for our Trikonasana pose. And I know a lot of people can come lower than a chair, but what I'm really wanting us to find today as the advanced practice is space along the spine in these poses. So we'll take the left foot forward, pointing straight forward. Take the right heel back in line with the left heel. And then open into our star pose. And pause here and let the hot air balloon lift you skyward. And feel into space along the spine. And then let's turn the palms up and let the wrists lift a little and let the head of the arm bone relax down. So we haven't even gone to the chair yet. We're really just releasing the shoulder girdle. And then let's release the arms wide and turn the palms down and bring the right hand to the hip, reaching the left arm forward and forward. Can you lengthen from hip crease to armpit? The side body really long. And then bring your hand down to the seat of the chair. And then pressing gently down into the chair, can you find the right shoulder on the back? Can you broaden from left arm across the shoulder girdle? And then can you lengthen the spine from pelvis out through the top of the head and float the right arm up? Feel the shoulder blades come on to the back body. Fluid breath. Can you really feel along the spine and invite space in? You may move your hand out farther along the seat to lengthen the side body even more. You may take the lower hip crease back. You may even move the back foot back to create more space along the spine. Can you feel the underside body actively supporting you as you do this exploration? Now let's take the top arm long, palm facing down, and lengthen through the fingertips. Ground the right leg back as you reach the right arm long. Can you still stay long in the left side body? And then let's float the right arm back up and float all the way back up, spacious spine. And then release your arms and turn the left leg in and step together. Pausing in your standing Shavasana. Head resting back, shoulders broad. Let's externally rotate the humerus bone, palms forward, thumbs out. Let the head of the arm bones rest back as if you were laying on a floor behind you. Can the shoulders release away from the lift of the hot air balloon? Can you feel your low ribs lifting away from the pelvis? Your shoulders lifting away from the low ribs without scrunching your shoulders up to your ears. Okay, so now I want us to do that same side, but we're going to step farther back from the chair and we're going to come into Ardha Chandrasana, half moon pose. Okay, so make sure that you have enough distance from the chair that you can be long from the hip crease to the armpit, but have the wrist beneath your shoulder. So you may need to play with that a little bit. So let's face the chair first. And let's take our feet hip distance wide and come in through a Virabhadrasana 1. So go ahead and bend the front knee and put your hands on your pelvic rim and ground down with the hands, ground down with the pelvis, and lengthen the spine skyward, breathing space between the vertebrae. Lift the low back ribs away from the pelvis. A lot of times we collapse in the back body. Now find your shoulder blades on the back, bring your elbows back, your thumbs towards the center of the sacrum, and lift the heart, lift the inner collarbones, and come into a slight back bend. And then exhale, front knee still bent. Come forward onto that front leg, hand onto the seat of the chair. Lift the back leg. And then we lift the pelvis up and over. Now, some of us have more opening there than others. Don't expect yourself to fully open if it doesn't want to go there. And float the right arm up. Integrate the arm bones into the torso. And then shine out from the heart through each wing. From the pelvis, can you lengthen down through both legs? And can you lengthen the spine? Fluid breath. Feel into the strength of the lower side body and invite space between the vertebrae. Shoulder blades like loving hands on your back, integrating the upper body. Then let's bring the right hand back to the hip, bend the front knee, turn back towards the floor and float out of the pose. And come to mountain pose or standing Shavasana. And shake the hands and the forearms. Shake the arms all the way up to the shoulders. And bounce from the knee and let the spine bounce. Let the shoulder blades move, let the humerus bones go, and then pause. And let's take the chair to the other side. So we step the right foot in line with the leg that's closest to us. And we take the left heel back away from the front heel. And we inhale and open up into our star pose. Wrists higher than shoulders so we can release the shoulder girdle. And then rest the arms. Bringing the back hand to the hip, stretch the front arm long, draw back from the hip crease, and then bring this hand down to the chair. Now, can you press down into the chair and find the left shoulder blade on the back body, broadening across the shoulder girdle, and then float the arm up. And pressing down into the chair and pressing down into the feet, grounding the body. Can you find length in the spine? Can you use your limbs to help you create space in the spine by integrating this lower arm into the torso? Feel the strength of that lower side body. But check in again with your feet and draw energy up the calves and through the knees and down the shins. And then inhale a sense of space into the torso. Can you create space along the spine? And take the top arm long overhead, palm down, and reach from that back leg through the pelvis, along the spine. Can you keep the lower side body long as you lengthen the upper side body? And then let's inhale back up and long spacious spine, float up to star pose. Turning the right leg in and stepping together, standing Shavasana. Fluid breath. Relaxed hands dangling out of the shoulder girdle. Okay, so now let's try Ardha Chandrasana again. The right foot facing the chair. Let's start with our Virabhadrasana 1. Feet sit bone distance wide, both turned forward. Let's bend into the front knee. And this time, let's lift the arms long overhead. Let the shoulders, the humerus bone, relax and broaden the shoulder girdle. Let the arms open into a Y. And then lift, palms skyward. Can you find length in the spine and lift the low back ribs away from the pelvis? Fluid breath. And then exhale, hands through the heart. Bring your right hand forward to the seat of the chair, up and over the right leg, lifting the left leg behind you. Can you ground into both legs, even though one's lifted? And then float the left arm up and draw in from the hands towards the center line of your torso, and then rebound that energy back out from heart center. Can you lengthen out into each limb and integrate from each limb into the body? Fluid Ujjayi breath. Long, spacious spine. Invite spine between the vertebrae, sky between the vertebrae. And then top hand back to the hip. Front knee bends and we float back out of the pose. And we turn and step back into standing Shavasana. Shoulders relaxing away from the lift of the hot air balloon. Low back ribs gently lifting away from the pelvis. Heart center and inner collarbones lifting as we find the shoulder blades on the back body. Resting into the breath. Okay. So let's take that really focused standing pose work now down to the floor and into a restorative shoulder opener. So have a long blanket roll And if you're tall or you just like a little more firmness under the sacrum, you could put a block at the end towards the chair for your sacrum. I just like being on the blanket itself. And then you can bring a pillow in and your chair. And let's sit right on the blanket roll and bring the calves up to the chair and lay the spine along the blanket roll, head onto the pillow, arms releasing to each side of the blanket. The muscles of the torso along the spine, can they relax to each side of the blanket roll? And then feel into the alignment of the head. How high do you want the pillow? And in my mind, we want a natural cervical curve. So the gaze to be perpendicular to the floor, the heads of the arm bones opening like they're hugging around the blanket roll. And then let's rest again into the Ujjayi breath. And for a few moments, let's listen to the ocean waves. And imagine that we're lying on the beach, sinking into the warm sand. Listening to the calls of birds, the wind move through the grasses or the branches of the trees. Then we can slowly let the waves of breath soften and lighten. Let the sound quiet. As if the ocean is settling into a calm summer day. And let's imagine we're looking up into a beautiful sky. An expansive sky. And we're relaxing beneath it. Sinking into the hug of gravity. With each exhale now, can you release tension from the body and deepen the relaxation? A little more with each out breath. In the flow of breath and motion, yoga coaxes us from the confines of the known across the silent threshold into vastness. It is the healing and the joy of saying yes to life. The seed of freedom flowers within each of us. Let's gently breathe energy back into our fingers and toes. Can we stay in tune with that vastness as we stretch, deepen the breath, and slowly begin to unfold ourselves back towards a comfortable seat. Take your time. And when you slowly arrive into your seat, see if you can just enjoy the body, the physical body, the energy. The stillness. Let's inhale our hands to our hearts. May we all find space inside, freedom, and connection. Namaste.